Open to them your hand to the shore. Watch them walk into the sea. Press upon them all they need. See them yearn for all they want. Gift to them the calm pool of words. Watch them draw the sword. Bless upon them the satiation of peace. See them starve for war. Grant them darkness, and they will lust for light. Deliver to them death, and hear them beg for life. Beget life, and they will murder your kin. Be as they are, and they see you different. Show wisdom, and you are a fool. The shore gives way to the sea, and the sea, my friends, does not dream of you.
Hello, and welcome to the Legendarium Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 4 of the Reaper's Gale series. I am Hurinfan, and I am joined today by Befuddled Panda.
Hello.
And an unfortunately very Canadian Ashamon.
I have to think of a Canadian greeting. Hey there, hosers.
All right. How are you?
You supposed to
yes,
say we
Janeth. Janeth is gone. He's more sociable than the rest of us, and
he's celebrating his birthday.
Is his birthday? I thought it was someone else's birthday.
His
No, it's his
birthday.
birthday.
It's his birthday.
Okay,
week.
well, he's probably like 49, I'm guessing.
What?
So everyone wish Janeth a happy 49th birthday in the
Happy
Discord.
birthday.
You'll be too late by the time this episode comes out. But
you know what? It's the thought that counts. Okay.
It'll be appreciated.
Absolutely.
He could be like 50 something. I'm not sure.
He is not. Oh my god.
Maybe like early 60s. I can see that.
He hides it pretty well, I suppose, if it's in his 60s.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
Good.
Yeah.
I went to Disneyland and Universal Studios Hollywood, and I screamed a lot, so my voice is a bit rough.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing like Goofy walking around. It's like, oh my god, this was not meant to exist.
Yep.
Horror.
Well, Disneyland, they do the Christmas decorations for Haunted Mansion, right?
Yeah, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Are those set up already?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Continue.
Gross.
Okay. Yeah, they do it for October, and then just throughout the Christmas season.
We're gonna go next month.
Oh, you're gonna be in California?
No, I mean Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, we are not gonna fly with her being as fat as she is.
You mean carrying a child with child?
Same thing.
No,
my mom was actually pregnant with me when she went to Disneyland.
Oh,
in
really?
Florida, not Tokyo. Yeah.
Oh, Disney
That's,
World.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know the branding.
Disney World's the big one in Florida.
Okay. Gotcha.
That means she had to walk a lot.
She was one of those people that gets pregnant and you hardly even notice.
Wow.
She's like 5 feet tall too, so.
Dang. It's like
Yeah.
my height.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good height.
It's fun size.
Yeah. It's much more efficient, and airplanes are a lot easier to fly on.
That is true. But Huron, you went to the new Studio Ghibli park?
Oh yeah,
amusement park?
my wife's company had a drawing for early showings of the new Ghibli park in Nagoya, and it was really, really, really cool. So I highly recommend to check it out when it opens. There's only 3 sections open currently. Next year they'll have 2 more. But yeah, it was pretty damn cool.
I'm jealous.
Same. I love the Ghibli movies.
It's so far away.
I saw Nosferatu yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, I was at the local theater. It was live band, which was very cool. If you ever watch Nosferatu, I recommend getting someone who can play a violin to accompany it. It really adds to the effect. And the Irish ambassador introduced the movie, which I was a big fan of. Yeah.
Is it scary?
Yes.
Yeah. It's from 1922. So
Okay.
most of film techniques weren't invented yet. It's like spooky. It's not like scary.
I think it's pretty scary. No, it's not jump scary. It is very spooky though.
It's very atmospheric. That's for sure.
And the
and
makeup
eerie.
is creepy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Count Orlok. Cool. Shall we start?
Yes. Not Count Dracula. Yes.
Today we'll be covering chapters 19 through 22 of Reaper's Gale. Spoiler warning for that. Ash, hit it.
Chapter 19. Sir Enfadak snoops around Udinas's mind to see him friend-zoning Feather Witch. Venet Sathad plays hardball with Oberyn Truthfinder. Red Mask makes ready for the last stand of the All. I like how Udinas just kind of gets to tell Feather Witch, no, screw off, you
Yes.
stupid, dumb person.
I agree. It was nice to see that, considering how much he pined for her. And the whole of the last time we saw them, we were just like, why? What do you see in this woman? She is terrible.
She's pretty. Yeah.
I wonder if she's still pretty. I don't know. Maybe she looks
I
like an
think
old
so.
hag now from all the magic. Maybe like a Disney
If it was
stepmother.
chaos magic, then I would buy it. But she's only using like hold magic, and the errant was the prostitute of the kingdom for a while. So
Okay, so it's
I
not that
imagine
she's
makes
ugly. It's just Udnas got the power of self-respect.
yeah, Scott Pilgrim style.
Yeah.
And um, during that time, when he's rejecting this woman who abused him, a woman is currently abusing him. Very sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Poor Udnas.
It's pretty twisted.
Yeah.
It
I
had
feel
a
so
good
bad
line
for him.
though. I like
Mhm.
when he's monologuing. He's just like, "I am no longer a slave." It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
my boy, good boy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I mean, Saren was in the wrong, but I still felt bad for
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like she just wants to know what's going on.
her.
And she's so lost and confused, and she doesn't even really know why she's going along with him still. And I guess he was just the easiest one to kind of take advantage of that knew anything.
And she's getting kind of objectified by her not brother-in-law.
That's just this weird relationship.
Yeah, I buy it.
Like, I get it that, there are characters who are like so honorable and upright and like they're just gonna do whatever is just, regardless of the cost. But they're very annoying.
Are you talking about fear?
Yeah.
See, I didn't think that was like about justice at all. I think that was just a mix of self-righteousness and the trauma from losing his own like
His own
almost wife to his brother.
beloved.
Yeah.
I
And
guess.
ownership.
Yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, just is not the right word. But like to him, he feels like he's doing the right thing.
Yes. Yeah, he's protecting the helpless maiden.
Who actually does want to be saved, considering everything she's been through. Like,
Yes.
it was so sad when she's thinking of Troll, and she's just like, "Hey, I'm allowed to, pretend like somebody's actually going to come save me because he's actually dead."
My quote for this episode was something that she was thinking after Fear told her that he would protect and defend her. She thinks, "Fear Sengar, you fool, a fool like any other man, like every other man. What is it with your gestures, your eagerness to sacrifice? Why do you all give yourselves to us? We are not pure vessels, we are not innocent. We will not handle your soul like a precious, fragile jewel. No, you fool, will abuse it as if it was our own, or indeed of lesser value than that, if that is possible."
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, right. It's a very male thing to do, to just kind of like want to throw yourself at the feet of a woman, right? Even if it's not like a romantic thing. It's something I noticed myself doing um, uh, frequently in my relationships with women. Not even for romantic desires. It's just, you know. Anyways, it's an interesting habit.
Protective
I used
nature.
to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it's appreciated. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is nice to be on the receiving end, but there's a fine line where it can become very patronizing and annoying.
Yes.
I bet.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And yeah, I think it can often be a good thing, and it can feel nice when you feel yourself like you feel like you're giving something of yourself, or protecting someone from something, or helping them through difficult times.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also very much a dark side to it.
And it's very easy to slip into infantilizing someone.
Yep. infantilizing, putting them up on a pedestal, or like maybe thinking you're owed something that you're not. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah. There is this question. Who is the father of Animander, Andorist, and Silchus Ruin? That whole.
It's Mother Dark, right?
Well, that's the mom. Who's the dad?
Oh, the father. Oh, the dad.
It's not important.
So
At all?
Not really, no.
Then why even
So
pose this question?
Ash, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Help me.
So I think in the Heist mythology as it exists now, like contemporaneously with this story, I think the implication is that it's a sort of virgin birth situation going on.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the first sons of pure darkness, right? That's
And Mother Dark
not.
is supposedly pure darkness and the goddess of their
Yeah.
whole race. So I believe in this mythology, they want you to believe that they are the first sons of Mother Dark, like physically, instead of metaphorically. But as you know, Udnas shows, it's a lot more complicated than that. And
Yeah.
Yep. Now,
Because,
what
like,
came first? Was it light or dark? And
right.
what does it
What-
even mean for one of those things to come first? And
and if
what
so, what
about
are the elder
fire?
gods? And
Yep.
Right.
if you need
That
fire,
whole
you need
thing.
light. Yep,
Yeah. I think chaos came first.
I agree.
Yeah. But what was the first thing that imposed order on chaos? Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the central tension of their mythology. And the Andy believe that it's dark. I don't know if the Leosin think that light came first.
We don't get a lot of their POV, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like there, but not there. They're just like mentioned. What
they're
are they
going through
doing
their
right
own
now?
stuff. Yeah, the from what we know, from what's been revealed to us, there was a being that was it Oseric or was it what's it, his son that had placed at the head of their hierarchy,
Right.
and that's dead now. It was killed by the Tlanimas, and the last we saw them was in House of Chains, and there was the ones that were chasing down Gruntle and Stormy and Truth to reclaim the lost power that they inadvertently stole when they were getting dragged through the Warrens.
Right.
And I think they had figured out that, well, their god is dead. So
Right.
that's what we know of them so far. But they will make a reappearance at some point, and you'll find out more about what's going on with them.
Okay. And what is Animander doing this whole time?
Right now, he is in Black Coral.
Just chilling.
He's doing something. We'll catch up with him in Toll the Hounds.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, Red Mask finally kills that elder who knew all of his secrets.
Yeah.
Yep. Red Mask is a bastard.
His internal monologue was quite interesting at that point, considering what we learned later in the section.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should wait until then to talk about it, though.
I kind of lost interest in Red Mask. Like, he came out so strong and was like so intriguing and so cool, and then he just petered out.
That was my exact experience with him. I think that's intentional. And yeah, we'll do like a whole Red Mask talk at the end, I think,
Okay.
with the full context. But yeah, I do think he's very much someone who's meant to look very impressive, and then kind of it ends up he's not all that he's cracked up to be.
I guess the whole mask thing was a metaphor made real.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Yeah.
To kind of round out the whole like travelers in the Teist realm. So like Silchus Ruin can control if it's day or night in that realm? Like, is he the only one who can?
I think that it's a local effect that he's doing, that he's not necessarily making it dawn on all of Curled Ghislaine. But yeah, I would say that this is probably something that like him and Animander can do. And
Hmm.
like that's probably it.
Okay. So he was just like making it night for the benefit of his fellow travelers so that they can like rest. But like he
That's the
doesn't
impression I
actually.
got. Yeah.
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 Udanas knows way too much. And he can see in the dark now.
He's like almost wait, did I haven't said this? He's like a Cassandra figure almost.
What's Cassandra?
He's in Greek mythology, Cassandra
Oh,
was cursed by the god Apollo to see visions of the future, but no one would ever listen to her.
I see.
That was the nature of her curse. So Udanas, he can see all these things. He can guess them a lot of the time, and he's very very smart, and he has like a really good intuitive reasoning to him. But he knows that talking about it's not going to change anything, and in fact, it could lead to more harm. He thinks if he shared it with Seren, Padak, or Fear,
Got it.
and I think he's correct there, given what happens later.
Got it. And poor Kettle, she also, like, I guess she knows she's gonna die.
She's got the sword of Damocles hanging over her. Yeah,
I feel like every time we talk about Kettle, it starts with the words "poor Kettle."
poor Kettle.
Well, like, I know that, it's the body of a small girl, but like the soul,
Soul
I
of a
guess.
Forkful
Yeah,
Sail or an Azath house or something.
right. But see, this is like the longest tease. Like we're going through this whole book and it just keep talking about poor Kettle. She's gonna die. Like the innocence, blah blah blah. It's like, can we
Hmm.
just make it
Just
happen
just
already?
kill her already.
I know, isn't that terrible?
Yes, it is terrible.
Yeah, imagine how she feels.
I know.
Because yeah, when you think about it, like these heroic questers, they're not actually doing a lot in these chapters. They've
No.
done actually very very little, which I again think is intentional. But yeah, it leads to this weird feeling that like their sections are always just like about waiting for the end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Venet Seth.
Bennett
How do you say?
Sathad is
Sathad.
But
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think of it to myself at least. Yeah, he's an assassin. He's visiting Oberyn Truthfinder. The Lethari Empire is currently collapsing due to economic hardship, and
Who saw that coming? It's nice that it's happening now.
I find it funny that like everyone thinks that they engineered it. Like all the people at the top, they're like, "I'm just gonna let it fall and then remake the empire I want out of the ashes."
Even Rulad, right?
Yeah, even Rulad later.
This is perfect.
Oh my god.
I could do the good things that I messed up before.
And I do appreciate how we really see how horrifying what's happening is, like what it is that's happening. Like these mobs are riding through the streets and tearing people limb from limb. Very similar to the Malazan pogroms
Hmm.
and riots that go on.
The beginning of Dead House Gates.
Dead House Gates. Yeah. It's very sad, and I understand why Tehol was so conflicted about doing it. Chapter 20?
Hmm.
Chapter 20. Bruthan Trana encounters Kilmandaros and Knuckles on his journey. Rud Alal welcomes Trull, Ben, and Onrak to his Imas family. Namander breaks Fade's wrists, and Withal tosses her to her death. The Malazan regulars discuss their own plans for invading Letheris. Janath gets sad about going back to her old lodgings. Rulad begins the slaughtering of his champions as he continues to struggle to do anything useful at all as Emperor. And failing, by the way.
Okay,
He
let's
might
just
be
talk.
the worst figure of authority.
I
Worst person at
mean,
leading in all of these books.
At this point, he's just a puppet, so it's
yeah,
hard to call him a figure of authority.
but the Panyan Seer was also pretty much a puppet.
Yeah, like he was an effective puppet, right? I think maybe that's what you're saying. But
Yeah.
like Rulad and like High Fist Pormqual, I think, are competing for least effective ruler.
But see, Pormqual, the consequences of Pormqual being ineffective is like worse to me than Rulad being ineffective.
I think they're pretty comparable, but yeah, like it's definitely worse for the reader emotionally.
Yeah.
I would think, because yeah, Pormqual gets Coltane killed, and the entire Seven Cities Rebellion happens in large part because of him.
Well, it's more like because Rulad being ineffective here, like there are other effective players to kind of like make things like balance it out. Whereas like with Pormqual, it was very much like nobody was stepping up to do anything the opposite.
Well, Malacrel was. Yeah, he
merciful.
convinced him to. Malacrel
Well,
the
yeah,
Merciful,
like
yeah.
that there was only one direction.
Yeah. I feel bad for Fade.
I'll be honest.
That's gonna be my hot
though.
take of the
I
episode.
call
I
her
think.
Fayed. I feel bad for Fayed, but I feel even worse for Nimander
They're like my least favorite part of this whole thing.
and with
That's fair. Yeah, I would agree with you. There,
honestly,
Panda.
that's my favorite part of this chapter.
I don't understand their point.
Hmm?
Like, I don't understand the inclusion of them, to be honest.
Basically, Nimander is set up to be. He feels like he has to be like Animander.
I get
So
that. Yeah.
he's kind of set up as a contrast to him. But I would agree that their sections are the least interesting part of the book. This book for me, but they're very much. They're not meant to be the focus for this book. They
Are
come in
they gonna
later.
be a focus in a later book? Is that what you're trying to tell
Until
me?
Vans. They're going to be until Vans.
Oh dear.
I really enjoyed this section, especially the pathos involved with Withel and the internal dialogue of Nimander and him staying up for days and days just to sacrifice, make this sacrifice. And obviously it was trying to call back to the scenes in Memories of Ice where Animander did something similar, but we didn't actually get to see Animander's point of view.
And like this is what Nimander thinks Animander would do. I'm not convinced, but
I think he would.
we don't actually get anything from Fade here except for her trying to kill Sandaleth. Like he breaks her wrists, she starts screaming and tries to gouge out his eyes, which fair, I guess. And then she gets tossed out the window and breaks her neck without even getting a chance to defend herself or beg for mercy. Whether or not she would have done that.
I mean, is she just crazy?
But what does that mean, right? She just
I don't really understand the motivation.
Yeah, so like is her character just like she's just gonna try and murder anybody that she comes in contact with? Like I
had a feeling it was specifically targeted towards Sandaleth.
Yeah, so like if that's the case, then it seems like killing her is kind of a monstrous move on Withal's part.
What, trying to save his wife?
Her wrists were broken. What was she gonna do? They were planning on what to do with her, right? Like they could have left her behind. They could have left her with Mander. That's what Sandaleth was thinking. Sandaleth herself didn't want them to kill her. And yeah, like she was just this helpless prisoner that couldn't do anything at this point. So it was just kind of like a execution without a trial.
Yeah.
Very uncompassionate execution.
It is. But it was also like, I mean, Withal was being very protective of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about this Knuckles guy?
Knuckles.
Like, he's not my favorite character in this chapter, but he's definitely the most intriguing. Like, there's just so many questions.
Just remember him.
Yeah, remember him.
Son of Kilmandros, hanging out in the bottom of the sea in a cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Who can stop time.
Yeah.
And his name is Such something.
Sechulath, I think.
Well, Kilmandros started saying it, and then he was like, "No, call me Knuckles, Mom."
They do say that Kilmandros was at one point in the Zath. I wasn't sure if that was the one. But yeah, hilariously, she preemptively betrayed Animander way back because she thought he was going to betray her. Yeah. So she did it first.
That's the
That should
whole
give you
thing
an
with like
indication of.
Scabby and Silchus.
Yep. And
What's going
especially
on?
those with draconic blood.
Mhm.
Although Kilmandaros does not have draconic blood. She just thought, oh, and Amander has draconic blood, so he's gonna betray me. So I'm just gonna do it first.
But Scabby also
Dragons.
has dragon blood.
Yes.
Yeah, which is why they had the betrayal problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be remiss not to point out the funny jokes in this section.
Mm.
With
Hedge.
Kindly's combs.
Oh.
Kindly's combs are one of my favorite bits in the series, and also Rudalal. Who was it said? What's Head said he's got a point.
Uh-huh.
He's got a point. And he's got a club.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yes. Mm.
And then somebody asks Hedge if he bleeds. He's like, "What do you mean? I'm not a woman. I'm too ugly to be a woman."
It's so obvious, right?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Especially for what's coming up.
Do you think Steve was inspired by the VeggieTales song "No Hair for My Hairbrush" when he was coming up with Kindly?
Certainly. I'm not familiar with that one, but
Goodness.
Is it Larry? Larry laments that
Yes.
he's lost his hairbrush and that he has no hair for his hairbrush. I think it was.
Yes.
cucumbers.
Yep, they don't have hair,
Yes.
much like Captain Kindly. I also who's the lieutenant? His lackey.
Pores?
What's his name?
Pores.
Pores?
Pores. Yeah, Pores is taken to faking a limp around him to gain some sympathy.
Yes.
No
Which
limp.
Kindly has noted. Yes, stop that.
Kindly ain't no kind.
He is not very nice.
Yeah.
Was it this chapter where he was ogling Masan Jelani?
Yes,
Yes.
everyone was. And her squad mate was saying, obviously she likes it or else she wouldn't do it. No, it's just hot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. What's the name of the lady with Karsa? I always forget her name.
Oh, Samar Dev.
Yes.
Samar Dev. Okay. So
Sexual tension is wrapping up, isn't it?
Karsa and Samar Dev, like if Malazan were a romance novel, it would be a really, really bad romance novel, the way their dialogue goes.
Have sex with me now. No, I don't wanna. I'm leaving.
And even if I did, then I would have to be drunk or something.
Yep. You almost got me. Well,
Yeah.
why don't you just take off your clothes? Oh my god.
You don't buy this romance?
I mean, no. Well,
What romance? She's not interested in him.
I think there's like sexual tension, but it's like it's just so bad. Like I know that this is not meant to be taken seriously. If it were to be taken seriously, it would be really bad.
Yeah, I will always agree with the statement that when it comes to like writing romance is Steve's weak point generally.
Mm.
I think it's pretty common sentiment. It doesn't mean it's like for me like it's not like nails on chalkboard, but yeah.
Yes, there are definitely worse offenders for sure.
What about Smiles and Skull Death?
Miles and Skull Death, or Skull Death and
Skull Death
Hellion,
and Hellion?
or Toric and Smiles.
Oh my goodness. The whole skull death thing, I mean, it's a bit later in the chapters, but at one point I was just like, what is the point of this? Because we're getting like his backstory and all of that. I'm just like, I mean, I guess this is meant to be funny, but it's not really adding much to the story. It just feels like this detour that I could have done without.
That's fair.
I think it's mostly just adding more Marines for you to maybe care about.
I do
And
love Skull
that's
Death.
actually that's one of my kind of qualms is like Erickson can just pull more Marines out of his bag and add them in when, too many have died. So but then it feels like this new set of Marines or set of soldiers felt more like it wasn't like seamlessly inserted into the story. It definitely was a bit jarring. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Here's more backstory about these new characters that you're supposed to care about. I'm like, well,
I think that's fair.
Okay.
This like I think it is noteworthy that like this is their first like prolonged military engagement. So like in terms of introducing new characters, like it's not the worst timing. Um, but I think your criticism is valid.
It kind of just went more. It went more heavy on the backstory of these like each of these characters, whereas before it was like dialogue. You learned about each character through dialogue and interaction with the other soldiers, and this
Mm.
was more info dumpy.
I think the intention there was to showcase the diversity of cultural backgrounds they came from, to
Sure.
prevent people from thinking that Malazan Empire is like anything like uniform. Like these are all coming from way different tribes. I think it's sort of to contrast the conflicting uh, cultures of Lothari and the All and the Eater and all of those. Um,
I see.
kind of to kind of highlight like these people have sort of been successfully integrated into the Empire, although there's still
Mhm.
issues. That's me steel manning these decisions.
I mean, I think that's
My steel
fine.
man is Goldeth's cool, like really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess.
yeah,
He
I
did
mean,
save Smiles and Cork. Anyway, that's a later chapter.
yeah, he does have this cool fighting style, and yeah, I wouldn't say that his homosexual nature is played for laughs. Uh, to tie this back to something Jana said from last episode.
Well, Smiles trying to convert him was
That is
definitely a
played for
comedic
laughs.
bit.
Yeah, but like just the fact of him having sex with men is just like it's just what he does.
I think it's very funny that Smiles is trying to pretend to be a princess, and he overhears Hellion saying, "Call me the queen of somebody," and he falls in love
Kartul,
immediately.
the queen of
Yes.
Kartul. Yeah, I mean, canonically, Hellion is very pretty.
I think he was more
Um,
interested in the fact that she's a queen, though.
I mean, looks don't hurt, right? Chapter 21.
Hmm.
Chapter 21. The Marines go feral, and Hellion shows off her plan to never be without alcohol during the invasion. They fend off a massive Eater attack, join up with the rest of themselves, and make for the city of Letharis. Troll and Onrak stop a minor civil war before it can happen, and the heroic quest arrives in Starval Demolane,
Bum,
where
bum,
there's a bunch of dead
bum.
dragons.
So many dead dragons.
So many dead dragons.
The Ash read the epigraph to this, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I would like to point listeners to a wonderful discussion that AP and Philip Chase had on, I think it was AP's channel, about this poem.
Hmm.
What AP did was he solicited interpretations from people on YouTube and read them and discussed them. And it was really good. And there's a lot of different ways to interpret it.
I think it's a very good encapsulation of the philosophy behind shake culture. So if you ever want to understand the shake and you don't want to spend much time in understanding them, just like reread this. This I think captures their ethos, their very pessimistic ethos, uh, on life.
See, I still think it could be taken very positively.
Hmm.
It's like nature is a cruel beast, but like a who cares? Like you do what you do because everything else doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. I'm sure I know that the very pessimistic view that you interact with people and you give them everything they want. Like I also can interpret the poem as a relationship between parents and children.
Hmm.
Mm.
I can see that. In terms of like couplets that really stick with me, "The sea, my friends, does not dream of you." That's something I often think of when I think of Malazan. I find it very compelling, and I think it's just good to remind ourselves sometimes, right? Like everyone in Malazan is anthropomorphizing like everything, which is partially why we have all these gods running around. But like, while Male is the elder god of the sea, like he's not the sea itself, right? And the sea is kind of just indifferent to all that's going on.
Like fire is indifferent,
Yeah,
and death.
and night, and light, and might, and right. So, Panda, you got your first peek of Starville Demolane. What do you think about there just being a bunch of dead dragons there?
Well, they didn't fly through the Talon war fires or whatever to get their immunities, did they?
No, they didn't.
They should have
Yeah.
done that.
Maybe Talon didn't exist at that time.
Oh, fine. I don't know. Why are there so many dead dragons?
Um, can I make a guess as to what your experience has been with dragons so far in this series?
Okay.
Why haven't the dragons ever done anything? When are the dragons going to show up and actually make an impact on the plot?
Well, I mean, kind of. Like we've seen some dragons.
I remember that crucified dragon in book 4.
Yeah. I mean, there've been quite a few dead dragons, not as many live dragons, and we know
Mhm.
that there was like uh an effort to go kill the dragons, but
Mhm.
also they're dragons. Like, why do they die so easily? I guess maybe they didn't die so easily. Maybe there was a, a bloodbath, but I would expect the dragons to be more in number than what we've seen, unless they're killing each
Yeah,
other.
there's not actually a lot of dragons, I don't think, anymore. Yeah, there was in the past, I think.
The most dragons we're
Yeah.
seeing are soul taken.
Yep. Yeah, the only real dragon that we've seen that's actually done stuff is Solana in Gardens of the Moon.
The only
Yeah.
real dragon, yeah.
Yeah, and we had the brief. Cotillion had the brief conversation with the dragons that were imprisoned in Curled Emerlon.
Mhm. I mean, I didn't come into the series like expecting, there to be extreme focus on dragons. So I'm not like disappointed. But when they do show up and they do stuff, that is really cool. And it's like, I would like a bit more of that.
They do really seem to fight each other a lot,
Yeah.
which might explain all the corpses.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was a dragon fight.
As far as I know, they're the beings most closely naturally linked to chaos in the series,
That's true.
Okay.
which is why they are the way they are.
Actually, I don't know if it's been stated, but their fire is actually just chaos magic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If we could reference Carcass, we could have a conversation about that.
Korab is still funny.
Yes.
My favorite characters in this chapter were Herb, Korab, and Hedge. And the thing about Korab is everybody knows about his luck. Like, there's no, it's not subtle. It's not just for the reader. Like, everybody knows.
Yep.
And they comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
I got my target by bouncing the quarrel off the cobbles. Don't tell me that was a planned shot.
Yep.
I also just like he has good luck, but he cannot keep a weapon to save his
No.
life.
and then
Yeah.
So he just has this arsenal on his back.
Yeah, the next chapter he's got like 30 weapons.
and they're like, you should get rid of some. Nope, I need them all.
Honestly, he probably does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's endearing. I mean, even though it's kind of frightening, it's endearing that he wants to go down in a blaze of glory.
Oh, yeah. He just thinks of this as a continuation of the uprising in Seven Cities,
Right.
which is interesting for him to have that concept.
Maybe a bit of a suicidal nature involved there.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets all excited. This can be the heroic death that Leoman stole from me.
Right. I mean,
That's next chapter.
when Korab was first introduced in where was that? Midnight? No.
House of Chains.
House of Chains. Yeah. I was like, this character's gonna get really annoying. And now I'm like, oh, Korab.
He's just the best.
He's a very twisted kind of wholesome, but it
Yeah.
does feel very wholesome to read. Speaking of not wholesome, Smile's collection of Lithari penises.
I think I missed that.
Oh, so all the Marines are like decking themselves out in fingers
Yeah.
and tongues and whatever, and she collects what she calls bleckers.
Oy.
Yeah, and everyone's telling him, those are disgusting. She's like, they'll stop rotting soon.
It's kind of messed up in general that they're just collecting trophies like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Not just the penises, but just cutting off other
Anything.
people's anything and keeping it is not only disgusting but kind of morally repugnant.
Well, and
Yeah,
then
just desecrating the bodies of the people he killed.
there are those that the Lethari who is it the Lethari who are cutting off his
Yes.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, Talk
ugh.
gets his face cut off later.
Ugh. The part where they were talking about how they can hear the munitions. So like they're all scattered in different squads, right? And they can hear the munitions. That whole thing made me think of like in Hunger Games when they were
Mm.
scattered in the playing field, and there would be a cannon that would fire for all the dead ones.
That's a good connection, I think. It's sort of, to me, reminds me of the front in World War One.
Yeah.
Big
Or there's
surprise.
just
Yeah.
artillery shells. Yeah, I know, right? That's
Bingo.
yeah. Um yeah, it's just like this incredibly long front that they're all advancing along, and yeah, sometimes you just hear massive explosions and you hope your buddies are doing all right.
Yeah. Seriously.
And um I think it's interesting how the Eater kind of turn their tactics against them or start employing the same tactics.
Right. Well, I mean, it was like the original tactics, not the
Yeah,
fairy tactics.
they're both going back to their roots. The Marines are going back to the original purpose of the Marines. The Eater are going back to their original way of fighting and hunting, which is an interesting resonance, I think.
Yeah.
And I think a big theme in this book is kind of like the moral degradation that happens during war, right? Like you have the Marines, they're going feral. They Eater, they're not treating them well either. And then the Alla and Lethari are just being horrible to each other. Who is it? Bruthen Trana, I think it is. He just starts thinking about how he wants to kill them all. Even like
Oh,
when earlier in the book he was actually trying to save them, and he had a lot of sympathy for
Roll
them. Now he just
Handar.
wants them. Oh yes, Brolhandar. Yes, sorry. Yeah, he just wants to kill them
Yeah.
all at this point.
I don't
And
know.
of
He
course,
was
Red
like,
Mask also wants to kill all the Lethari.
the blood tastes so sweet.
Yeah, next chapter too. Tool and company want to just
Yeah.
Yeah,
destroy the all, even the children.
and like we'll get to that. But yeah,
So I want to
the
go.
complete loss of humanity is a disturbing theme.
Yeah. I want to go back to Hellion.
Yes.
Her two sergeants.
She was like, I mean, in the book it did say a more modest version, but she was compared to like Coltane and Dujek and like the Prince Kaz of the Crimson Guard. I'm like, no. Not even a modest version. She's like not on the same level. Like, I do not buy into this comparison. I don't know. Hellion is just like not that compelling to me. I get the bit about, she is a good leader, like kind of despite her drunkenness, and like Herb just
Or
worships
because of it.
her, or because of her drunkenness. But it just
I mean,
not on
she's,
the
I
same
believe, the
level.
only officer in the invasion of Lether who like, how many casualties did her company have?
Like 2 or something.
I mean, it's not fair to compare to Coltane or maybe some of the other names, but that's damn impressive. Plus, I mean, whose perspective did we hear that from?
Was that Herb?
Well, I mean, Herb worships the lady, so.
Or
She's
whoever Herb was talking to. But I mean, it was really cool in that the tactics that they inadvertently deployed more for their own gain, where they're killing the officials and the money lenders and the advocates,
and the
and
judges.
yeah, and freeing the indebted.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Hellion, she's got a real tactical intuition about her that like I get that I always get the sense that she could be so much more than what she is. But just kind of
Mhm.
refuses to. Um I also kind of liked. I think she's kind of set up as a contrast to Tavor in this book because
I see
they're
that. Yeah.
almost opposites in temperament. Like Hellion has no self control. She kind of stumbles her way into all her successes, and Tavor, meanwhile, is rigidly controlled. She's not pretty. Um, I forget who mentions it, but someone in the book mentions that Hellion's really pretty, and part of the reason why her squad mates are so devoted to her is because she's really pretty.
Right.
Yes, it's like it's that factor of charisma, and yeah, like Tavor's not pretty. She's not emotional. She's rigidly self-controlled, and somehow she keeps kind of failing at these military things.
That's a good call out. Did you guys get riled up when Tom Tissy was talking to Kaneb about how the soldiers were ready? He was saying, "Fist, they're ready for you." "I see that, Sergeant." "No, sir. I meant they're ready." Kaneb met the squad man's dark, beady eyes and wasn't sure what he saw in them. Whatever it was, it burned bright. "Sir," Tom Tissy said, "it's what we're meant for. All," he waved one grimy hand, "this. Trained to play more than one game, right? We stuck 'em enough to get them riled up, and so here they are, all those damn eater, drawn right to us like we was a lodestone. Now we're about to knock 'em off balance all over again, and Hood take me. It's got my blood up. Same for us all, so please, sir, sound us the order to march."
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's a good way to tell us where the Marines' headspace is
Yeah.
and sort of justify their behaviors, not only in this book, but in following books.
And it's also
Okay.
like they do take pride in themselves. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
we know what we're doing. We can do this.
Yeah, we're like the best soldiers in the world.
Yeah.
I thought it served well as a characterization for Tom Tizzy too. Really made
Yeah.
me like him
Especially
more.
with his name, Tom Tizzy. Like, it's not a very strong name here.
No.
Neither is Vastly Blank, who lives up to his name. Oh my
I love
god.
Vasily Blake.
You just have all the heavies are given the most demeaning names, like Flashwit. The
Go ahead.
the fight scenes are very chaotic in this. They're very chaotic and very frantic. And this is like the most Vietnam it feels to me that Steve's gotten
Yeah,
so far in these books. Which
I
it makes
agree.
sense they dedicate this one to Glenn Cook now, eh? Because
Yes,
like
that does
these
make a
guys
lot of
could
sense.
be from the Black Company at this point.
Yeah,
It would not be surprising to
that's a
me.
very good
Although the Black
point.
Company isn't as funny. Ha ha ha.
No. Well, I've only read the first book, so I can only
It's
go
not
off
as
of
funny,
that.
no.
Despite all the giggling in that book.
I mean, I love Goblet of One Eye.
Yeah, they're the standouts in terms of humor.
So Quick Ben suspects that Tavor isn't playing it straight. So like his whole conversation with Hedge. And I think it was like, yeah, he was like, she set herself against the crippled god. And Hedge is like, oh yeah, what's this lesser empire got to do with the crippled god? It's like, oh, there's a whole lot of stuff to be said about that. So there's that. And then the whole conversation between Quickben and Hedge about like which side are they each on and like what game is Shadow Throne and Cotillion really playing? I'm like, yes. What is all
Yeah.
of this really leading to? And like what is the whole point? What are they, those two, Kellenvet and Dancer, like do they really know
And
what they're doing?
and how much did they foresee? How much have they accounted for in their plans?
Yeah, or are they
It's so ambiguous, yeah.
like Hellion, who's just like, oh, ha ha ha, I'm stumbling into things and it just works out.
Yeah, right? It's like because the answer cannot be that they are completely like Hellion, I think.
No.
But it also seems unlikely to me that they foresaw everything. And then the
Right.
question is like where on the sliding scale do they fall? And that's a really interesting question to think about, I think.
Yeah, like where do they fall against, the errant and like male and bug? Like,
Mhm.
are they on the same side? How many sides are there to this whole thing?
Yeah, and this is a big reason why characters in Malazan are so cryptic with each other a lot of the time. Because a lot of the time they aren't certain that the person that they're talking to is on the same side as them, or they don't want to reveal information inadvertently for like all these reasons, right? Um, so it's like complaint a lot of people have with the series that characters talk very obliquely with each other, but I think in a lot of cases it can be justified through this framing.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because, like, there are often times where, the whole miscommunication trope is employed to purposefully make things, like, more suspenseful or, like, have there to be more of a plot. Whereas, like, in this case, it's not really a miscommunication trope, it's more of like, "Okay, now I understand, like, sometimes your sides align, but the
Mhm.
ultimate goal might actually be different." So it's just like alliances of convenience at times, so
Yeah.
you're just only gonna share enough for that whatever, you know, piece that aligns.
Call back to when Topper makes fun of Haran in the first book for sharing all of his information.
Yeah.
Good
And I mean,
callback.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I'm like expecting the 12 souls or however many 12 in Quickbend to break out at some point.
To break out.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can.
You don't know if they
Oh
can?
man.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Uh-huh.
So Hedge is getting very frustrated with Quick Ben here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it echoes. I think a lot of. I think he's meant to echo a lot of the readers' frustrations with Quick Ben as well. Yeah, man, Quick Ben would be so infuriating to be friends with.
Um, I did have a question. So the whole thing with Onrak and Troll, where like Onrak is, I, I'm not quite sure what is going on. Where like um, Hastile Retor is asking Onrak if he would reject Troll, and Onrak's like, no, I can't. And then it's like a bad thing that Onrak doesn't reject Troll.
Do you remember back in House of Chains when Onrak finds Troll inside
Right.
the nascent? Well,
Yeah.
at that point, he basically pledges his
Yes.
servitude, or it's the wrong word, towards Troll. So, like, he's kind of bound by his word at that point. He's been,
Right.
in my mind, it's like kind of what has been driving him the entire time. So it's not really an easy thing to give up.
But
So,
why is that a bad thing?
so my interpretation here is that these new Imas are kind of setting up to take over the tribe that Red Alal was with. Troll and Onrak don't want this to happen. Troll basically says, I'm willing to die for this because of my friend Onrak." And um, so the reason why it would be a bad thing is because Onrak would be condemning his friend to death essentially if this conflict actually came about. And so you could argue that it would be better for Onrak to refuse Troll here to say, no, go away. I'm going to protect you
I
by
thought it was the
doing this.
opposite. I thought it was that Troll is condemning Onrak to death because Onrak refuses to reject Troll, and it's confusing.
It's like reciprocal, I think. Right?
I had the impression that Onrak was trying to save Troll's life by doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but then in as a result of that, something is happening with Troll, and um it's like something is happening with Onrak, and it's condemning Onrak to some bad outcome. Am I just misunderstanding this? Okay, never mind. I
I don't
don't know.
remember.
This part is confusing. um Also, when Erickson says through a character, "Don't ask me how I know this." That just prompts me to ask, how does this character know this information? So, like, one thing, and don't ask me how I know, I just do. Suspicion into certainty. The finesse of Scabby Blood Eye, it's here. Like, Quickbend knows that the finesse is there. Um, but it's like, how do you know that, Quickbend? And just
Um,
telling me not to ask doesn't. It
I
only prompts me to ask.
I would think that he's reasoning this intuitively, but the clues that he has are like the fact of the existence of this illusory world, as
Yeah.
well as the fact that this dragon, Menandor, well, not dragon, this godlike being, Menandor, left her son here.
Right.
And I think he knows that there's also Starville Demolane nearby.
Yeah. Is that the 12 gates?
12 gates?
He was like keeping vigil at the 12.
There are gates that lead you to this place, yeah.
Right.
If they're connected to Starville Demolition.
Yeah. So he knows that there's something big here, that this is important. And then what makes sense for there to be here would be the Finest of Scabby, because it could also power the illusion, I think.
But didn't Gothos have it?
Yeah, he did something
Uh,
with it.
yeah,
Right.
he had it several 100,000 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Gothos, he does a lot of weird things for seemingly unintuitive reasons.
Hmm.
It's just kind of his style. Good for chapter 22.
Yeah, I talked a lot about chapter 21, and I had that many notes.
There was a lot that happened in chapter
It's
21.
a really big chapter, yeah. Chapter 22 is also big. Chapter 22. The all fall with their Lotharii opponents following the show shortly after. Beak burns out his candles. Some irresponsible candle use on the part of Beak.
Oh, you didn't even mention our man Tool.
Tool and Talk, yeah. No.
Okay.
They're unimportant, right? No, it's
No, take that
I
back.
think everyone who listens to this summary will probably know that Talk dies in it.
This probably goes without saying, but this chapter made me very emotional, and I cried big manly tears twice. I just getting Beak's backstory, and being able to meet his brother in the afterlife, and Hood meeting him, and Tool thinking that Talk is already dead, finding out he was still alive and still witnessed his death again was hard.
Yeah. And like he was right there. He was right there. He could have
Yeah.
saved him at any time. And Tool was doing this in large part because he thought Talk was dead. Right? Ugh.
Yeah, I wanted to kill the people that Talk was helping out the entire time just because they killed his boy.
Yep.
But he changed his mind because of Talk as well.
He saves the children instead of killing them.
Hayton's perspective there was really something powerful, talking about just the way that the Imas feel, and the way that they feel, and the way that they grieve. It's just wonderful descriptions.
They have no ironic detachment. They just feel everything all the time, which makes their descent into Lanimas so much sadder, right? You have the contrast that sets up here versus what we saw previously in the books when they were just emotionless killing machines, essentially. Yep.
Yeah.
I wish Janeth was here because we get a direct explanation for how we still have Talk's writings.
Oh yeah. Or it just has them. It's
I
like here
noted
they are.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was like,
Torrent.
oh, Talk's poems. Yeah.
He was writing them all off screen.
Yeah, Torrent was insufferable, but I mean, he did the right thing in the end, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, how old is he? He's like 18.
Yeah, he's just a young, stupid kid.
Yeah.
It's hard to blame, even though he's still annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that's how things work. Like they get an inspiration from an older figure in life, and maybe they could turn it around. And they see a real sign of selflessness.
Yeah. Talk had no reason. Well, okay, besides basic human decency, he had no reason to sacrifice himself for these children. And he does it just without a second thought. It's not even a debate in his mind. It's just this is what you do. It's going to suck, but, you know.
When I was reading that part where Talk starts charging into the enemy, I was like, okay, I know he's gonna die, but he's gonna come back, right? Like, he came back before, and then it was like, nope, not this time. It's like, oh, okay.
Talk is dead.
And he still doesn't get his second eye back.
Nope.
Damn wolves.
He's cursed with that wisdom.
Well, he's dead, but I mean, spoilers, he stays dead. But he's working for Hood, so whatever
Yeah.
that means.
Dead, not gone.
Yeah.
I think
that
it's
part though, sorry, the part with how um with because Erickson goes into quite a bit of detail describing how, like, from Talk's perspective as he's dying, and that makes it so much harder. Because, like, if you were just reading it as like a more objective person watching it happen, um, and we've seen this before with when he's in the clutches of the matron, like how he feels his bones are breaking. It's just like that's why we feel so much more impact with Talk, because we get it from directly from him. And then when, like, he feels the pain under his jaw, I'm just like, oh my god, no.
it's so brutal and so heartbreaking. Um, to pivot a bit to Red Mask, so I think it's very telling how the last thing that Red Mask is thinking is how not about how his people are getting slaughtered, um, or even that he's losing the battle. He's just completely delusional. He's thinking, I'm gonna get my
I'm
change from all
getting
bodyguards, and
victory.
we're gonna kill them all.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, Red Mask to me is he feels like an empty shell of a man when reading him through these books. All he wants is to kill, and he he didn't care at all who he had to kill to get his vengeance, whatever his vengeance even means here, right?
yeah,
Um,
because it was revealed at the end that he's a Lothari.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, he was kidnapped by the All as a kid.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think Red Mask could be described as just daddy issues, the character.
Oh,
Yeah, like he fell down a path of just hatred and vengeance, but like the
Mhm.
entire time he was just trying to prove himself as a true all. And I mean, being adopted, maybe not having a great dad, pretending, telling him how to live and how to be an all, and knowing the whole time that he's treated differently for being Lothari, and he has to wear a mask to cover up that identity. He tries and tries and tries to out all the all themselves.
I
He
see.
learns how to fight the all by the way that they used to fight and their old ways, and he could lead them all just to prove himself that he is one of the all, even though he's not, I guess, ethnically or racially, whatever that means in all, which is actually a
Oh,
common thing to happen in,
Mhm.
especially in the American expansion into Indian territories. They would kidnap kids and vice versa, and then they would become one of the group. And often, like I've read a few accounts of which, and like a lot of the kids that were abducted would refuse to go back, or even adults sometimes when they were abducted with quotes or move into the native way of life, they would not go back as well. They would just become nativized. What's the right word?
Assimilated?
Sure. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting story, and it works really well with a lot of the animal metaphors that we had earlier in the book of infiltrating into another place and destroying it from the inside. Even though this time it wasn't exactly what's the word? Malicious.
yeah.
I mean, kidnapping kids is.
I meant on
Yeah,
Red
but
Mask's
Red
perspective.
Mask.
I
Yeah.
see.
He wasn't trying to take down the all. He just did it.
He did it without, I don't think he cared about any of them really. It's like we never get a thought from him that's actually
I think he
compassionate
cared about
towards
their
anybody.
approval.
I think he cared about his idea of their culture. Yeah, I think I agree. He probably wanted approval, and that's why he got so upset with when the elder was calling him out. Um,
Because did the elder knew the truth that he was Lothari?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, he was like the last one left. Yeah.
and yeah, so like, yeah, another reason why he was trying to kill so many Lothari is to wipe out that part of him.
I see.
Um, and yeah, he was judged unworthy by the Kachin Shamal, which I think is a very good call by them.
Yeah, I have some these quotes after he killed the elder. He says, "You are dead. I still feel your neck at my hands." Last the Renar elders, you you knew well my father and all his kin and the children they called their own, and also said, "The weapons we were once born too long ago. Is that not all enough? Am I not more all than any other among the Rendifar?
I
So
see.
yeah, I think it explains a lot of his motivations.
We also see this same theme with Cork, although, of course, Cork is not a vengeance-obsessed monster. But he's a half-breed, and his mother was the SETI side of him. She worked in a whorehouse, and she had completely abandoned their culture. And he decided that he was going to reclaim it for himself. So he went back. I think he rode back to rejoin the tribes, or I'm not sure what, but yeah, like he worked hard to become a SETI in his own eyes. I think probably in a more healthy way than Red Mask did. I feel really bad for Brol Handar here. He at least dies like a bro.
I don't
He
know.
gets told that like this the factor had tried to kill him 10 times, and this man
Right.
that he had never noticed was protecting him this entire time. So he's like, I'm gonna die with you then, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight on your left because I don't care about my blind spot.
Well, it's also it says something about Bivette that she she actually tried to save him
Hmm.
despite the orders that she was given by the Factor.
Yeah, the assassin killer was her man.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's kind of
she's
cool.
a very decent person. I think both Brol and Bivat are very decent people in a very toxic system. Um,
Except when Brawl was like getting addicted to killing.
oh yeah, and he's saying I'm going to kill them all. Yeah, he completely demonizes them and just kind of glories in the bloodlust, like the Malazans are doing. To be fair.
Speaking of dehumanization, I really enjoyed Hitan's perspective where she's looking at she's the third party. She has no relationship with what's going on, right? And she says she can't even tell them apart.
Yep.
It's just these quarrels. They don't really mean anything, especially from looking on the outside in.
And then we get the reason that the Grey Swords had pledged themselves to the All. They thought they had received visions of smoke and death. I think it was, I don't know, something like that, from the wolves. And they thought that this was the cause that they were supposed to pledge themselves to. Turns out that's not the case.
Whoops.
Yep.
So like the wolves taking their hearts, is that gonna be like, yeah, y'all messed up, so we're just gonna reset you and like put your hearts in new
No.
bodies.
No.
Darn. Okay.
Spoiler. No. So yeah, they're dead. Um, yeah, I think it was just a last act of honoring them in the
Yeah, I think
wolf's
it's
own
like a
way.
religious thing.
Yeah. Um, but yes, so this also kind of foreshadows like a lot of these gods know that there's something going on in this section of the world. They know that something is going to go on in this section of the world. Um, so forces like the Grey Swords are arriving. Grey Swords and the Grey Helms.
They they really did not last very long in the series.
No,
They were
no,
literally
they did
like
not.
introduced and then next thing you know they're dead.
Hmm.
Well, there are still more gray swords, right?
There's the Grey Helms.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but the Grey Helms are they're more different than it might seem.
I know I already mentioned Beak, but I quite enjoyed the build up to his sacrifice, and it starts with him talking with Fiddler and Faradan Sort. I want to read what he says. So, Beak, can you hold your own in what's to come? A low murmuring reply. Yes, sir, you'll see. Everyone will, because we're all friends, and friends are important. The most important thing in the world, and I'll show you. And then later, we're on the Eater perspective, and they see the large magic coming their way, like a whirlwind or something like that. And they see Beak's candle, and they're allowed in. I like seeing Beak's sacrifice from the Eater's perspective to
Mhm.
start with before we get Beak's perspective himself.
Yeah, I really like all the perspectives around this. The Lothari realizing that the rituals, I think they realized the ritual's going to destroy them all
Yeah.
at the very end. Yeah. Um, and then the Eater realizing that they've been betrayed and they're all gonna die despite how hard they fought for their new empire, and the very much unearned compassion that they receive from Fiddler and the Marines, who subsequently tell them like Fiddler tells them like there's a lot of people that really want to kill you right now, because they've been killing each other for like weeks or months at this point. I really like how they don't do that. And I also like how we get that scene where Fiddler sees all the scars on his friends. And of course, Cuddle was dropped on his head quite a bit as a child.
And Korab had cancer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Korab had cancer that he was too lucky to die from.
That was kind of a little out of nowhere. But yeah, what really got me was when Ferret Sort looked to where Beak was and all she saw was ash and bone, and how it was like a little kid hugging his knees.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you
Like,
get the Beak love, Panda?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, I saw some of the comments on Discord about how like, oh, how it's incredible that Erickson made us care for this character in so little time. But like, it is little time, but it is throughout most of this book, like this Reaper's Gale book. But it's just, I think it's because of the innocence of Beak and, as the kids say, protect at all costs.
Mhm.
You get that feeling for this character, and then how he describes how he sees the world is just so, it's naive but very wholesome and innocent and loving.
Mhm.
And the fact that, there was so much that he didn't understand, and you as a person understand what he didn't understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he had all these mental blocks put in place, because he recognized that if he thought about what happened too much, then he would probably kill himself like his brother did.
Right.
Yeah, it's very effective characterization, and I think a large part of what makes Beak specifically work is that it's not overdone. Like Steve isn't beating you over the head with it.
Right.
He does spend comparatively, like he doesn't spend many words on Beak, but like he says things or he thinks things, and then there's so much implied behind there, that
Yeah.
makes him incredibly easy to empathize with, and yeah, you can
I
really see
kind
why he's so tragic.
I kind of thought that he would have been revealed as a shield anvil for someone, just based on the way that he was talking and the whole purification talk. Um, but I guess not.
So, I don't think that Beak would be an appropriate choice for a shield anvil, because a shield anvil has to be able to understand and take on the pain of others,
Okay.
and
And he doesn't have the understanding.
he doesn't. I don't think he has the understanding. I don't think he was able to develop that, and he can't even really process his own pain. Um, he
I
can't. He
see.
can't even think about it most of the time. When his thoughts shy away from the traumatic events in his life all the time. He can't confront them. He can't process them.
Got
Yeah.
I'm just very happy that he got a good afterlife so he could be the big brother.
Yep.
Hood's a good guy.
Hood.
Kinda.
Okay. Yes, I will say that Hood is a good guy. I will not put any asterisks there. I think he's just flat out good. He just has kind of a shitty job.
Is Hood a guy though?
He's got balls.
Does
Presumably.
he?
Do you have any new Hood theories for us, Panda?
There are a lot of hints
um,
in this book.
he has green skin, or like,
Yeah, that's
and
weird.
it is very skeletal. I mean, with the skeletal part is expected, but the green skin part. Wait, no, Lacine has blue skin. Then
Yes.
okay, who has green skin other than the cripple god dude? Wait, Is it crippled god?
Crippled God. I actually don't know what color his skin is. It's sickly. It's sickly
Yeah.
colored.
Sickly?
I kind of just imagine this amorphous, human-ish looking, sickly, white, vaguely hairy man.
I guess I'm more thinking of the jade statues.
Okay.
Maybe that has something to do with Hood.
Okay.
No, you guys.
I'm really enjoying these Hood theories. Gonna be sad when you finally find out that Hood was just made up.
Hood is not made up.
I mean, all these characters are made up.
Okay, that's
Oh,
true.
that's fair.
Fair. In the world of Wu and Malazan, Hood is not made up.
I mean, if he's based on a real person, then I gotta find out who that is.
I just hope that Hood in his realm has a very special place for all these horses. These poor horses. Like
Red Mask's horse escapes, or is it
Red Mask's
his
horse
lieutenant's
escapes.
horse? Yeah, there you go. See, that was 3 horses right there. So
Tog's horse didn't.
no, Doc's horse did not escape.
Should we do listener questions?
Before we get there, Tog the Elder. Have I met this guy before? Like, not by
No.
name, but like.
You
in
haven't met
passing?
him. They just spoke to him.
Okay.
Like, talk the elder, talk the younger.
So I have not seen this character yet.
You have not seen him.
And to just correctly set your expectations, he shows up in the Ice books, not this series.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. I just figured I should just not have you expecting him to show up in like the final pages of the Crippled God with like
I'm here,
blazing
son.
swords. Okay, fine. Is it like Knight of Knives, or is it like much later?
It's Return of the Crimson
Return of the
Guard.
Crimson Guard and later.
Oh, okay.
And earlier, but not Iron Knives.
Okay.
Shall I read the questions then?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you might as well.
Emperor Claptrap. How much impact do you think this scene would have if someone just... what's the scene?
It's Beak.
Okay, the question about Beak. How much impact do you think this scene would have if someone just picked up and read this chapter, or maybe a few chapters preceding as well, without reading the previous books? Would Steve's background as a short story writer show up enough to make that undertaking worth it? Ooh, Claptrap, that's a hard question.
I have a very firm opinion on this.
Yeah, what's your opinion?
I think it would be effective. There would be obvious points where the reader wouldn't understand what's going on, right? Like they wouldn't have any of the context for Warrens or whatever else, or like the conflict. But like if Steve just took the sections that Beak was in and then like retooled them into a short story, I think that would be a good short story. He would need to make some changes, but I don't think he would need to make enormous changes.
Right, we could test it. I could just cut out all the Beak sections, give it to my wife, and be like, "What do you think?" It's not very long. It's probably like 20 pages at most.
Less, I think.
Yeah. At most covers that.
Yeah, Steve, he's so good at writing.
What do you think, Panda?
I agree. I think that a lot of it isn't necessarily like. I guess Beak's story is pretty self-contained. The only thing that's not self-contained is like who his friends are, but you could replace that with like any character. It's really from his perspective because he sees them as friends.
Yeah, it's really just probably Farragut and Sawyer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So Janath has a question as well. Says he wants your opinion on Helion's strategy and miscalculation Tavor made by targeting the Eater aristocracy rather than the Lethari capitalists.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this in the episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
I just think that because Tavor is such a distant character, like it's easier for me to get angry at Tavor. Especially there was this one part where like it was from the Lethari perspective where they were seeing like all the Malazan soldiers is like gathering in the killing field, and from their perspective, like, oh, the Malazans know that this is the end, like they can't win and they're just taking it. That got me so angry with Tavor. Like, you as a leader have failed your soldiers, like, but then you think about, okay, what is really going on in her head, and like, well, did she even know about Beak? Because I don't think
Nope.
she did.
No idea.
So, in a way, like, she got lucky, right? That there was a soldier there that could um, save them, and yeah. I think Hellion, even though I'm not like in love with this character, um, I have to admit, like, she did a much better job.
Well, that's why we have troops on the ground, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Tavor does give them a lot of leeway
She
to
does.
showcase their exceptional nature. And she does know that they are exceptional, which is a credit to her. Yeah, like very easy to feel like she's abandoned the Marines in this hostile situation, right?
Right.
Although she does,
And
to be fair to her, she does show up like almost in the nick
after.
of time.
Yeah. Which, like, I get it if she, her whole plan was like, we will be there to give you backup, you know? Um, but at the same time, it's like you get so little of her
Mhm.
anyway. You don't know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Hmm. And she's not easy to like. She's got no charisma.
No, and I'm just really curious, like, why Erickson has that kind of character. Like, what is the point of that character? What is he trying to do?
I think we could have a good conversation about that in the Crippled God.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's I think Tavor is very important for the point he's making with the series.
Okay.
I think without her a lot of it would fall apart.
And that's the thing, is like, as a first time reader, I'm just like, I don't get it. And it's gonna take like 10 books to get there.
Yeah. Although let's be fair, six. She showed up in House of Chains.
Fine, 6. Well, technically, she
Well, she
was
was.
there in the first book.
Yeah,
Yes,
she was
that's
there.
true. Yeah, she shows up. She says, "Fellison is too soft for this world," and exits the page.
Yes.
Yeah, so Tavor so far has gotten lucky twice with mages. Initially, she thought she didn't have any mages besides Nilla Nether, but she's gotten lucky with Sin, and she's gotten lucky with Beak. Um, I guess you could sort of make the argument. I wouldn't find it very convincing that these are like Deus Ex Machinas,
Yeah.
but I don't know. What do you think about the emergence of these superpowered individuals from seemingly nowhere, Panda?
It does bother me a bit, and that's why I'm just like having such a hard time with Devore, because I'm like, and I guess in a way, frustration with Erickson because of how he's revealing and writing the story. Like, on the one hand, it is really cool to have these characters, and if you're gonna have these characters, they might as well. I don't know how else you would write them necessarily. Um, but on the other hand, it's like they're just very convenient. Especially with Beak, where it's like,
Especially with
it
Beak.
seemed like this was literally his purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Sin was introduced a bit earlier,
Right.
and
It was more of an evolved process.
yeah.
Whereas this one was like,
Yeah,
okay, did you
he's
just.
just been here the entire time.
Yeah,
Um there's one other character who sort of fits into this that's sort of hanging around, but it doesn't function like Beak does in the narrative, I'll
like
say.
Bottle?
No.
Maybe. No, not Bottle. Okay.
We can have we can continue this conversation later though. Um yeah, Bottle sort of fits. I think it's revealed that he's like from like the last of one of the last of the original inhabitants of Malaz Island.
Hmm.
And he's got some funky things going on there. But yeah. You get in here though.
Great, because I want to go. That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read along and or contribute listener questions, check us out on the Legendarium's Discord. If you can find the link on the legendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter at Green Team Pod for updates and fun times. Check out the Legendarium podcast for Wheel of Time, Cosplay, Lord of the Rings content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Ashman, Janeth as a boy who's not here, and Buffalo Panda. I'm Hurinfan. Until next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.